Hi student, today I will discuss about mapping. Mapping, that is S-plane to Z-plane mapping, and relation, that is, you can say this S-plane to Z-plane mapping is also known as relation between Laplace transform and Z transform, or you can say relation between S-plane and Z-plane. Okay, this topic is very important. Okay, this is very important for exam also. Already I have discussed about Z transform, inverse Z transform, how to perform Z transform, how to perform inverse Z transform. You see that to perform inverse Z transform there are lots of method. Okay. Also I have discussed about ROC and its property for Z transform also. Okay. Now this is the last topic of Z transform, that is relation between Z transform and Laplace transform, which is also known as S-plane to Z-plane mapping. Now previously I have said about signal, I think. Okay. Now how many signal we know? There are basically, we know signal means there are two types of signal. One is continuous time signal and another is discrete time signal. Okay. Now if you want to analysis this discrete time signal and continuous time signal in time domain, then there are lots of difficulties. Okay. To remove that difficulties, you need transformation domain. Okay, that is the basic concept of transformation domain. Why we need this transformation domain? Actually, we cannot analysis the signal briefly in time domain. That's why we have to convert the time domain signal into another domain. First, in transformation domain, we have discussed about Fourier transform. Okay. Now, see signal, it has two part, that is CT and DT. Okay. Now, suppose this is your signal. Now, it has two part. One is CT and another is dt. Okay, both are in time domain. Now if you apply Fourier transform on this continuous time signal, then it becomes what? Then it becomes CTFT. Okay, and if you applied Fourier transform on this discrete time signal, then it becomes what? Then it becomes DTFT. Okay, DTFT. Now again in CTFT and DTFT there are some difficulties. To remove that difficulties, this later we can apply this here Laplace transform, which is known as LT. And if you want to analysis this discrete time signal more briefly, then you can use Z transform. Okay, now in this video I will show you what is the relation between this Laplace transform and Z transform. Basically, Laplace transform or Z transform, all are both are same, but the approach is different. That means the procedure is different. Laplace transform means S domain, whereas this Z transform means Z domain. Okay, now if you see Laplace transform or Z transform, both is applicable for signal. Now Laplace transform is applicable for which type of signal? Continuous time signal. And Z transform is applicable for which type of signal? That is discrete time signal. Okay, now basically Laplace transform is applied where there are some difficulties in CTFT, and Z transform is applied where there is difficulties in DTFT. Okay. Now Laplace transform and Z transform. First, we know any discrete time signal. Suppose you have a discrete time signal xn. Now we know any discrete time signal can be represented as a summation of shifted impulse. You can see this expression. This xn is a discrete time signal and xn can be represented as this summation format, where one shifted impulse function is attached with this. Okay, now in a signal system or the signal processing, this impulse response is very important function, because using impulse function we can analysis the signal briefly, and we can your calculation becomes much easier compared to the normal domain. Okay, so what is the value of this shift impulse function? We all know shifted impulse function valid only for one value, that is delta n is equal to 0. Now here I am saying that any discrete time signal can be represented with this expression, that means with the shifted impulse. Already I have proved you and I have shown this in your classroom, though I am repeated this, that suppose you have a signal xn. Take an example. Okay, so xn can be written as 1 2 3 4. This is the equation. Now here one arrow is given at 2. That means what is this meanings? This means that at n equal to 0, that means the value of x of 0 is what? 2. What is the value of x of minus 1 from this expression? 1. What is the value of x of 1? 3. What is the value of x of 2? 4. This is given. Now xn, if you want to represent this function in terms of this shifted impulse, then you have to change your limit, because here your limit lies from minus 1 to what? 2. Minus 1 0 1 2. That's why your limit, the value of k will be minus 1 to 2. Then x of k delta n minus k. Now if you put k is equal to minus 1, then this expression will become what? X of minus 1 plus delta n plus 1. Similarly, you have to put x of 0, that means by putting k equal to 0, then by putting k equal to 1 and k equal to 2, you get this expression. Next, check. You have a function where some impulse function is attached. Now when this impulse function is valid, you know, here the value of n is minus 1. Now if you put n is equal to minus 1 here, that means minus 1 plus 1 what? Delta 0. What is the value of delta 0? 1. That means you can say this function is valid when n is equal to minus 1. Similarly, x0 delta n. Now when this delta n is valid, if n is equal to 0, that means delta 0, what is the value of delta 0? 1. Similarly, delta n minus 1, delta n minus 2, that means you have to put n is equal to 1 and n is equal to 2. Now after that, if you add this amplitude, then you get this expression. That means from this you can say any discrete time signal can be represented with the help of shifted impulse. Sometimes this is asked to you in examination, that how can you prove that any discrete time signal can be represented by a shifted impulse. Then you have to prove this, just like take an example. Okay. Now in this video, this is not our motto that you have to prove this, but our main topic is you have to make a relation between this Laplace transform and Z transform. After that you have to design a mapping. Okay. Now so we know any discrete time signal can be represented with the help of shifted impulse. Now say take a continuous time signal, say xt. We all know that continuous time signal is denoted as xt variable. So suppose you assume that xt is a continuous time signal, and if you sampled xt, that means suppose you have a signal xt, continuous time signal. Now if you apply sampling on that continuous time signal, then what will happen? That means you get sampled version of xt or sampled version of continuous time signal. Okay. Now this sampled version of continuous time signal is what? This is again one kind of discrete time signal. That means I want to say, suppose you have a signal xt. This is a continuous time signal. Now if you apply sampling process, so do you know what is sampling? I think all of you know, because already in digital communication also you have read this about sampling. So after sampling you get a discrete time signal. So this sampled version of xt can be written as xst. Here xst denotes the sampled version of xt. Okay. Now this xst is a sampled version of xt. So xst is again a discrete time signal. Again we know any discrete time signal can be represented with the help of shifted impulse. So you can write xst is equal to summation n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity x of nt delta t minus nt. That means this also the expression of discrete time signal. Now if here notation is like continuous. See, here representation is like discrete time signal, but your notation is just like continuous time signal. That means you can easily apply Laplace transform over this function. Okay, so taking Laplace transform on both sides, that means this expression will become like this. Okay, now this is the notation of Laplace transform, or you can say this left hand side is the definition of Laplace transform. So we know, according to the definition of Laplace transform, this definition is written as capital XS. That means this is the notation of S domain. Okay, is equal to, then you differentiate this integration part and summation part. So first write down this summation part, that is xnt e to the power minus st. Why it is e to the power minus st? Because if you apply Laplace transform over this function, then the definition of Laplace transform is integration minus infinity to plus infinity your function, this overall function, into e to the power minus st dt. So that's why you get this e to the power minus st dt part. So this is the summation part, and this is the integration part. Okay, now again you have one impulse function, so you have to check when this impulse function is valid. So this function is valid only when this small t is equal to n into capital T. Okay, that means if you put this small t is equal to n capital T, then it becomes what? Then it becomes delta 0. So what is the value of delta 0? 1. Again, if you have one point, so if you have one point and if you want to perform integration, is it possible? No, because to perform integration you need some value, that means you need some range, you need some limit. But if you have only one point, that means you don't have any limit. So this integration does not exist, because if this function valid, then this integration does not valid. Again, when this function valid, when t is equal to nt. If you put t is equal to nt, delta 0 is equal to 1. That means you have to put here t. That means this small t will be replaced by n into capital T. Got my point? Okay. Now this is your expression. Again, this x of n capital T, this is the representation of a discrete time signal. So again, we know xn is a representation of discrete time signal. That means you can say here this x of nt. That means here you can say this xn is equivalent to x of n capital T. That means both are similar. So you can write here x of n only in spite of x of nt. Okay. So now again come to the expression. So this right hand side is again xss. So this is equal to what? N is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity xn. So this are equivalent e to the power st whole to the power minus n. We can easily write this. Now if you put this e to the power s capital T is equal to z, then this expression will become what? This expression will be written as xn z to the power minus n, and this is the definition of z transform. So you can directly write this xss is equal to x of z, but when e to the power st is equal to z. So from this we can make a conclusion that if a discrete time signal xn or xnt is a sampled version of xt, listen carefully, if a discrete time signal xn or xnt is a sampled version of xt, then z transform of discrete time signal can be obtained from the Laplace transform of the sampled version of xt by choosing the transformation, that is e to the power s capital T is equal to z. Okay, so this is the relation between z transform and Laplace transform. And this type of transformation, that means here you are changing the value from S domain to Z domain. That means this is again one kind of change from one transformation domain to another transformation domain, and this type of transformation is known as impulse invariant transformation method. Okay, and this S plane to Z plane mapping is very important for exam. Again I am saying this may become as a short notes. Again it may be asked to you that write a short notes on impulse invariant transformation method. So you can you have to prove this. That means what I have done here. Again the question may become like what is the relation between Laplace transform and Z transform, or how can you map a point from S plane to Z plane. Okay, mapping part I will discuss later. So this is the impulse invariant transformation method. Now where you can apply this method, basically this type of transformation method is applied for designing discrete time IIR filter. IIR filter means infinite impulse response filter. In next module I will discuss about filter, where I will show you what is IIR filter. Okay, just you note down that this type of impulse invariant transformation method is applied in filter designing. Which type of filter? Discrete time infinite impulse response filter. Okay, now this is your expression, this is the relation, that is e to the power st is equal to z. Now again from Laplace variable we know this s is equal to sigma plus j omega. Do you know what is sigma? Sigma is the real part of s, and what is j omega? Now j omega is imaginary part of the s. Okay, now from this transformation we have we get that z is equal to e to the power st. Again from Laplace variable we know s is equal to sigma plus j omega. So put down this. So it can be again written as e to the power sigma t dot e to the power j omega t. Now if you consider only the magnitude part, okay, again you know what is the value of z. Z is equal to what? From z transform we can say that z is equal to what? Z is equal to, can you remember what is z? Z is equal to r into e to the power j omega. Okay, now if you consider only the real part, that means only r, magnitude, so what is this? That means magnitude r z mod z is equal to mod r. So what is r? R is the radius of the circle, that means radius of the z plane. So if you consider only the magnitude part, that means mod z is equal to here e to the power sigma t only, because sigma is the real part of s. That's why you have to take this sigma t only. Now if mod z is equal to e to the power sigma t, by considering the real part only, then you get three cases. Case number 1, if sigma is equal to 0. Now if sigma is equal to 0, then what happens? Sigma is equal to 0 means e to the power 0. So e to the power 0 means what? E to the power 0 means 1. So what is the value of mod z? 1. Okay, that means you have to draw a circle in z plane having radius 1, and what is the value of s plane value? The s plane value is sigma is equal to 0. That means where this point lie. So see here the mapping from s plane to z plane. Here I have shown you these three cases. First case 1. Case 1 says that sigma is equal to 0. Now if sigma is equal to 0, sigma is equal to 0 means means this point lie in the s plane where sigma is equal to 0 means 0 plus j omega, or it may be 0 minus j omega. So consider that 0 0 or 0 plus omega or 0 minus omega. That means sigma is equal to 0 means this particular point will lie on the imaginary axis of the s plane. So this is a s plane and this is a z plane. Okay, z plane, that's why it is a circle, and this is s plane I have written here. Okay, and this is z plane. So sigma 0 means this point lie on the imaginary axis, either origin or 0 plus j omega or 0 minus j omega. Now if sigma is equal to 0, so what is the value of z? Z is equal to 1. So this z is equal to 1 means what? Z is equal to 1 means you have a circle having radius 1. That means the point which lies on the s plane on imaginary axis, that particular point will lie on the circle having radius 1. If you want to transform this point from s plane to z plane, that means if a point lies in here, it may lies on here or it may lies on here. That means on the unit circle. So on the unit circle means there are lots of points on the unit circle. So it may be anywhere. That particular point we cannot say that at what exact location this point will lie, but we can say this point or this point or this point may be lie where? This point will lie on the unit circle. That means on the unit circle. That means a circle having radius. That means it may lie here or here or here or here, any of the location. Okay. Next, second case, if sigma less than 0. Now if you put sigma less than 0, that means e to the power minus, so exponentially decreasing value. That means if sigma is equal less than 0 means where? Sigma less than 0 means in S plane, left hand side of the S plane. That means if sigma less than 0, that means the point that is denoted here cross. So the point will lie on the left hand side of the S plane. Okay. Here I have shown you through cross. Okay, these are the points if sigma less than 0. Now if sigma less than 0, then what is the value of mod z? It is exponential. Now you can calculate by using calculator. Suppose you have e to the power minus 2. Check e to the power minus 2 and here take capital T is equal to 1. Now if you calculate e to the power minus 2, this value is always less than 1. That means you have a circle having radius less than 1. That means the radius of the circle is less than 1. That means inside this here, that means when a point in the S plane lies on the left hand side of the S plane, that particular point either here or here may lie into the circle. That means here. That's why I have shown you some cross point into the circle. That means here also, here also, here also, any one of the point. But we cannot say at this point is fixed for this or this point is fixed for this. That means left side point of S plane will lie into the circle. Okay. Next, if sigma greater than 0, then what happens? If sigma greater than 0, sigma greater than 0 means increasing order. That means suppose you have e square. Assuming capital T is equal to 1. So if e square, what is the value? Check. The value of e square is obviously greater than 1. That means sigma greater than 0. Sigma greater than 0, that means in S plane the point will lie at where? Right hand side of the S plane. Okay, that means it may lie here or here or here. That means any point which belong to the right hand side of the S plane. That particular point will denoted at where? For Z plane. Now check the value. If we know that the e square or e cube, the all values are greater than 1. That means you have to consider a circle greater than having radius 1. That means this circle not. You have to draw a circle having radius greater than 1. That means if a point lies on the right hand side of the S plane, that point will be located exterior part of the circle having radius 1. Okay. So this is all about mapping from Z plane, S plane to Z plane. Again I am repeating that if a point lies on the imaginary axis of the S plane, so that particular point will lie onto, that means on the unit circle. That means having radius 1, you have to draw a circle and on the unit circle. That means here, here, here or here, anywhere. But if the point lies on the left hand side of the S plane, that point will be located where? That point will be located inside the circle having radius 1. And if you have point on the right hand side of the S plane, that point will be located exterior of a circle having radius 1. That's why the 0 are shown in the exterior part of the unit circle. Okay. So you check this. This is all about S plane to Z plane mapping. Next, I will discuss what is the relation between DFT and Z transform. Okay, DFT, discrete Fourier transform. Again, what is DFT? Actually, DFT comes from DTFT. Okay, DTFT means your time is discrete but frequency is continuous. Now, if we want to perform DTFT using processor, then there are some difficulties because processor doesn't know what is continuous. Processor will identify only the discrete values. So in case of DTFT, as because frequency is continuous, so you cannot apply DTFT through signal processing. That's why you need discrete frequency and discrete time. That's why you have to use DFT. That means you can say DFT is the extension part of DTFT, where in case of DFT both time and frequency are discrete in nature. Okay. Now we know xz is can be written as this. This is the definition of z transform. Okay. Now if you have a sequence xn of finite duration causal sequence, that means if you have a signal xn which is causal and who has finite number of values, that means say n, that means then your notation, that means this summation will be changed. For causal it will be 0 to infinite. Now if you have n number of samples, that means your limit will be 0 to n minus 1. Okay, then xn z to the power minus 1. This is the definition of n-point causal xn sequence. That this is the definition of n-point causal z transform. Okay. Again we know DFT of n-point sequence is written as, DFT notation is written as capital X of k. So capital X of k is equal to n is equal to 0 to n minus 1 xn e to the power minus j 2 pi k small n by capital N, where capital N is the where. What is the capital N? This capital N denotes number of samples, and this small n denotes discrete time, and this small k denotes discrete frequency. Okay, now this is the definition of DFT. Now in this expression, if you choose this z is equal to e to the power j 2 pi k n, that means this part, if you choose that this z, that means this e to the power j 2 pi k by n, this is equal to z, that means you can write this z, okay, to the power minus n. That means again this is the notation of what? Z transform. That means here you can say x of k is equal to x of z. When this is possible? This is possible only for two conditions. That means if you put z is equal to e to the power j 2 pi k by capital N, and also you have n number of samples, finite capital N number of samples, and it is a causal sequence. Okay, now in this situation you can say x of k is equal to xz. Okay, now you can say that the relation is if n-point DFT of a finite duration sequence, listen carefully, again I am saying n-point DFT of a finite duration sequence can be obtained, that means this xk can be obtained from the z transform of the causal sequence having length n, that means it has n number of samples, assuming what? Assuming z is equal to e to the power j 2 pi k by capital N. That means if this condition is satisfied and you have n number of samples, also you have causal sequence, then the result of DFT is equal to the result of n-point DFT is equal to the result of n-point Z transform. Okay, and this is the relation between your Laplace transform and this is the relation between Z transform and DFT. Okay, so student, you go through this lecture. Okay, so first explain to Z-plane mapping and this that is Laplace Z transform and DFT relation. Okay, and these two are very important for your exam purpose. Okay, also you can you say where you can apply this transformation, this Z transform and DFT relation? So basically this transformation is this transformation technique, that is from Z transform to DFT or DFT to Z transform, is applied in system designing. Okay, also like Laplace transform to Z transform mapping, you can use this in digital filter designing. Okay, and also you can use this technique for checking the stability of a system. Suppose you have a system, in Z transform or Fourier transform. Okay, now if you apply DFT, then applying DFT you cannot say that the system is stable or not. But if you can convert this value from DFT to Z transform, now using Z transform you can check the stability of the system also. Okay, so this is all about the transformation from or the relation between Laplace transform and Z transform, and relation between DFT and Z transform. Okay. Okay, one thing, suppose in next video I will discuss about some numerical problem related to Z transform. Okay, also the inverse Z transform, that means how can you check the stability or causality using Z transform, or how can you check the system condition using Z transform. So this type of numerical problem I will discuss in my next video. And also you have one question from this video: can you tell me some real time application of Laplace transform or Z transform? So again I am repeating, my question is, if you can, you search in Google also, so give me some real time example of Laplace transform as well as Z transform. Okay.